Hello! Welcome back to Too Many Books. My name is Sean, and here we have a broken binding unboxing. Not only that, but it is a TBB Press unboxing, which is, if you're not familiar, they're in-house publications. Most of the broken bindings titles are in collaboration with the original publisher. So, you'll have special editions that are just little twists on the trade edition. But with the TBB editions, the Broken Binding actually published their own edition. So this, my friends, is The Way of Edan by Philip Chase, the first book in the Edan trilogy. And one that I'm very excited about. I've heard good things about it. Plus, I have just been blown away with the TBB Press titles thus far. They have the production quality of some very nice small presses. I mean, that's always been my, not really a complaint, but one of my big disclaimers on the Broken Binding is that their editions, whether it be their special editions that they do of various trade titles or their subscription titles, are essentially just fancy trade editions. They're not quite on the same level as other small presses, but the TBB books are. These ones are top-notch, top-shelf reads right here. So I actually don't know who did the cover artwork here. Is this Rene Aigner? I was trying to check the site, and it mentioned that internal color artwork is by Rene Aigner, but it didn't specify who did the dust jacket. But anyways, let's see if we can find out on... It doesn't even specify on the dust jacket here. But maybe it's Rene Aigner. Whoever it is, there is this beautiful full-color artwork already in a nice broad art or mylar protector sleeve, much like their other titles are. Kate Cromwell did the stamping, the design on this. You can actually see the gilding shining on my hands there. How about that? The old tales take us to faraway times and places, but they're also where we come from. They tell us how we got here. And I know Kate Cromwell also did chapter headers. We have some nice gilded page edges there. These ones do have sewn bindings, which is incredible. We have some beautiful, beautiful cartography maps right there on the end papers. Is it the same on both end papers? It is, but that's totally fine. So this is signed by Philip Chase. It's limited to 1,500 copies. And it's still available, which is pretty wild, because most of these TBB titles sell out pretty quickly. This one's still hanging in there. This is copy 97 of 1,500. Signed by Philip Chase there. The collector's edition. So, as I mentioned, this does have... Oh, it has a foreword by Mark Lawrence. That is going to be high praise indeed. I love Mark Lawrence's works. The Broken Empire is superb. Red Queen's trilogy. They just did a new edition from TBB Press for Mark Lawrence, which I believe is down to its last, 100 copies. Which is the... Oh, God, what is it called? It's like Grey Sister was one of the books. Sister's in the name of the trilogy, for sure. I'm going to butcher that one. I have not read that trilogy yet. But anyways, so there's some Kate Cromwell's chapter headers, little header artwork. There is some interior artwork by Rene Aigner. This does appear to be the same artistic style as the dust jacket, so we're going to just go ahead and say Aigner did all of them. Nice job. There's also some interior black and white artwork by Peng Lu, who is no stranger to the Broken Binding. And, okay, yeah, you can see that shining through as well. I mean, it's a higher quality... it is printed directly on the back of the text, but it looks to be a higher quality printing than, say, the black and white artwork that we were getting in the Tad Williams books. I mean, the artwork itself in the Tad Williams books is still very nice, but it's not necessarily the best printing quality. Unfortunately, even here you are going to see a little bit of bleed through with the text hiding behind it. It's just kind of a matter of it being printed on the back side of the text. Rene Aigner's is at least, tipped in pages. It's printed in, actual paper cardstock, or, you see a little shine to it there, a little sheen to it. So the story of The Way of Edan I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. I don't think it's pronounced Eden. I think it is Edan. It's got your classic, from what I've read online, it has your classic fantasy tropes of a sort of sorcerer who's kind of going through and conquering the lands around him, and it kind of falls to a sorceress who's trying to defend her island and defend herself from the invading forces. There's also another character who, a young man who is given a curse, some sort of curse, in my understanding, who's also kind of wound up and tangled up in this resistance. Dayraven was his name. So I mean, it's fantasy through and through. That's for sure. It's one that I'm looking forward to diving in and reading. It's got, like I said, really good reviews. You know, very solid. I think it's got an average of 4 out of 5 on Goodreads. So you know, that's awesome. It's the first of a trilogy. So presumably TBB. You can even see the thread poking through if you look really closely there. Probably can't see it in the video. Little thread, because this is a sewn binding, which is incredible. I love when you have a nice sewn binding on a larger volume. Not that this is an overly large volume. We're just under 500 pages here. But most of the broken binding titles, which are like I said, printed in collaboration with the various publishers, they just have a glued binding, which is fine for smaller titles as well. Like this would have been fine with a glued binding, but once you get some of the larger titles, like those Tad Williams titles, reading a glued binding like that could cause a bit of damage to the spine. Unfortunately, it's not the prettiest binding jobs out there. So having larger books, having a sewn binding allows you to reread it several times without fear of damaging the spine and winding up with a broken binding of your own. But man, like I said, copies of this are still available. It is a little bit on the pricier side compared to the normal titles the broken binding does, but you can definitely see the difference within the quality of the books. I mean, these are very nice cloth-bound books. Very, very nice. Plus the sewn binding, plus the original artwork. You can see the value in the upcharge there. Copies are still available. I'll put a link in the description below if you want to pick up a copy for yourself. The TBB titles are exquisite. I mean, I cannot recommend them enough in terms of production quality. I mean, sure, they might not still be on like the level of like some of the Subterranean Press titles, but I mean, there's also a huge price jump between, say, this and some of those Subterranean Press titles. But this is a very, very nice, affordable, small press edition that is of nicer quality than your typical trade edition. So you can definitely see that within the volume itself. Man, that is very, very nice. So that is The Way of Edan by Philip Chase, the first in the Edan trilogy. Hopefully we will eventually see the second and third titles get the TBB treatment as well. Once I've actually read through the volume, I will do a full book review on the channel here. I do at least one book review a week with plenty of other unboxing videos in between here and there. And this is going to be the first of, I think I've got 5 broken binding unboxings to do. It's almost like a broken binding blitz. We had some familial situation going on. We had a death in the family a few weeks ago, which wasn't unexpected, but it did lead to a lot of people coming and going within the household. The house kind of turning into a hotel. It led to a few busy weeks, so I wasn't able to do any unboxings. And the Broken Binding decided to ship all the titles at once during those 2 weeks. First of which was received was The Way of Edan here. So like I said, subscribe to the channel here. You're going to see a ton of Broken Binding videos over the next week or so. I'm going to split it up with other various videos, but essentially I've got a lot of catching up to do. So a lot to watch, a lot to see for yourselves. But man, The Way of Edan, that looks like a spectacular title. Thrilled to add to my bookshelf. So anyways, guys, check out the Broken Binding. I am subscribed to both the sci-fi and the fantasy subscriptions, which both have wait lists for them, so you can always check out those unboxings as well. Thank you guys very much for watching. We'll see you around next time.